Just get ready here. I'm back in the car, live streaming here from the beautiful island of Big Island, Hawaii. My name is Matt Holton. For all those just joining, and everything that I'll be talking about, I'll have descriptions I have the links below for all the subject that I'm talking about. First of all, a little bit about myself. I'm born and raised on Maui in upcountry. Grew up in Kula, went to Kula School, St. Joseph's, Seabury, then finally graduated at Maui High. My parents still live there, and I've spent about 30 of my 30 years living on Maui. So when the fires first happened, I was very concerned about friends, and especially my family that lives up in upcountry Kula. So since then, I've been trying to do some of my own reporting and sharing content and information that I think is important to share with people on the web. So thank you for joining me, and everyone who's been helping me donate. I have, I think, over 40 videos with fundraisers for the Maui Humane Society and the Maui Food Bank, and it's been great to see the support. 100% of the proceeds of that goes directly to the Maui Food Bank or Maui Humane Society. So YouTube covers the transactions, and it's great to see. My initial goal was $1,000. Now I'm approaching 2,000. I think 10,000 could be a possibility. So first of all, right, ways to support 93.5. I keep on saying it, KPOA. They have music and updates, a lot more commercials now. There's a festival at the MAC going on tomorrow with all the top artists I could think of from Hawaii. But the Luna Athlete Strong, their shirts have been sold out for a while, but you know, their fund has been doing an awesome job raising things specifically for the Lahaina Luna students, athletes, and coaches. So right, if you didn't know, Lahaina Luna is the oldest school west of the Rockies, established in 1831, and many of the students there, the coaches, have lost almost everything. So the Luna Strong Fund, which is linked below, they've been selling shirts. They're sold out, and it's a great way to help and support if you're interested. Also, I have a link to the Maui Food Bank. The Maui Food Bank, when the fires hit in August, they delivered 540,000 pounds of food. Part of the reason why I decided to put my focus towards things like the Maui Food Bank. Growing up on Maui, I know they've played a large role over the years. There's been many of runs that we've done fundraisers for the food bank, and they have a great network already in place before these fires happen to get food to people who need it, with churches, food pantries, and they're just a great network that's only going to need more help and support going forward. So check out their website. Hey, Massachusetts. Also, the Maui Humane Society, there's $1 million matching pledge fund there. So if you want to donate directly to the Humane Society and see what they're doing, yes, the Maui Nui GoFundMe, check that out. And as always, I also have the daily tourism numbers. It's an upward trend. I think this last weekend, it was almost at 4,000, down from almost under 2,000. So there is an upward trend of people coming to Hawaii, and that's much needed. But that gets to one of, before I get there, hey, Missouri, there's a great personal story that I just discovered a few days ago, and it's on Salem Haire. It's experiencing the Maui wildfires. She's a video blogger, and she made a vlog about her experience the day leading up to the wildfire. She's in Kula. She goes surfing the day of, and it's just a gut-wrenching emotional experience as Salem, in the middle of all this, disaster and trauma, she just got up, got her clothing, helped out as quickly as she could, did anything that she could to just help those in need. And it's just another great story to remind us all that sometimes the heroes, they're just our neighbors and the people around us. But a great story by her. Hey, Greater. So check out her story. It's about 20 minutes. It really shows how much things like the fires on Maui that were happening all over the place really changed people's moods, emotions, their spirits immediately. And she's very clear on sort of the haze that happens. Hey, James, to her, and basically the personal trauma of just being around such dangerous thing. You know, I know from my parents' perspective, while the fires in Lahaina were smoldering, right? A lot of those fires were not fully contained or even 80% contained for many days. And days after Kula, the fires were still flaring up. There was helicopters just doing water drops from pools. So that the battling of the fires, I think, was a constant difficulty for many of the residents who really were caught off guard with everything that was happening in the chaos of communication. So please check out her video. It's a great story. She left the islands, but a great personal story. And then, right, there's been lots of talk. Josh Green, you know, pushing forward on the reopening of the West Maui, and there has been quite a bit of pushback on that. So specifically, there's been a petition, and let me get to see how many, with 6,684 signatures. And if what I'll do is I'll just read the petition. I think it's an interesting note. You can check it out. You don't have to be a Hawaii resident to sign the petition. I'm sure the more people with the zip code there, but if you want to have your voice heard in that petition, go ahead, and I would suggest check out that link, but I'll read it for you here. Aloha, Governor Josh Green and Mayor Richard Bissen. I implore you to delay the reopening of West Maui to tourism on October 8th. The decision to reopen must not proceed without proper consultation with the working class families of Lahaina who have been displaced by the fires. It is alarming that a private meeting at the Ritz-Carlton Kapolei, which exclusively represented select business interests, has been cited as the basis for this decision. The voices of our displaced residents who have endured immeasurable hardship have not been adequately heard. These working class families who are the backbone of our community, many of whom work in the tourism industry, are struggling to find shelter, provide their children's education, and cope with emotional trauma. Good day. We firmly believe that before any reopening takes place, it's imperative to consult with and prioritize the needs of these working class Lahaina residents. Delaying the reopening will allow for a more comprehensive and inclusive approach that takes into account the welfare and well-being of West Maui residents and visitors alike. So a lot of people, I can't say it's everybody. It's hard to get a pulse unless you're actually there in Lahaina, but there seems to be quite a bit of pushback there, police misconduct on the reopening there. It sounds like people just really aren't ready, and it's going to be interesting to see whether the mayor and the governor hear these voices and whether they'll make any adjustments or just kind of barrel through with what they believe the plans are for that area. So if you're interested in signing that petition, check it out. It's in the link below. And then, right, also the Hawaii Electric CEO will be in front of Congress September 28th, and will have to testify with an investigation that's going on. So I do have a article by Jeremy Lee, one of the reporters from KITV, who has been pushing a lot of concerns about who was in charge, about the police officers blocking intersections. So Jeremy Lee has really stepped it up in his investigative reporting, and I'm sure I'll be listening to these hearings with the CEO of Hawaii Electric. And let's see, along those lines, there's another article I have about more lawsuits against Hawaii Electric for a multitude of reasons. So they're really under the hot spot. When this first happened, some of the things that I looked into was the PG&E and the similarities of Hawaii Electric and PG&E in terms of what actions they're following after the disaster. So, And I found a really interesting article by the Maui News, one of the first ones that I thought was sort of worthy of sharing with you guys, which was about residents seeking more help with mortgages after the Lahaina fire. And I have a little summary here of that article that I'd like to share with you. Um, Cinders, good afternoon. Yes, aloha. But so here's a little summary I have of that article from the Maui News. In the aftermath of the devastating August 8th fire in Lahaina, Hawaii, many local homeowners find themselves in a financial distress. Among them is Leah Nakamura Frank, who's burdened with two mortgages. One for a condo which was destroyed in the fire, another one that she has in Napili. She has requested more leniencies from lenders and government-sponsored enterprises like Fannie Mae, advocating for deferred payments until, quote unquote, the dust settles. Local attorney Lance Collins is championing a 3-year mortgage deferral and foreclosure moratorium for the affected homeowners, which I think is a great idea. If Josh Green wants to use his emergency proclamations for anything, I think giving homeowners and people who have mortgages who still owe them more than 90 days would be a good use of emergency powers so that nobody can build in these areas for a long period of time. It really doesn't make sense. They did the same thing during the last COVID, where there was a moratorium. And I think for a lot of these homeowners who might have to pay rent and a mortgage, the relief is only temporary. So local attorney Lance Collins, he warned that without immediate intervention, the community faces, quote, a tsunami of foreclosures and that potential predatory land grabbing. Federal regulations currently allow for a 90-day forbearance due to natural disasters, but Collins argues this is insufficient given that the rebuilding could take years, if not half a decade or more. The Maui News says that in this article that Josh Green's office is reviewing Collins' request to use emergency powers to suspend foreclosures. And meanwhile, state and federal financial regulators, along with major financial institutions, have said and claimed that they're willing to work with homeowners, but it's not clear if they're willing to give them much more than that 90-day needed for this. So really sort of bad news on the horizon unless they can't figure this out in a more passionate way. And then along the lines of what's happening with Hawaii Electric, I do have a YouTube video there with PG&E using bankruptcy to get out of liability during the fires in California, which, they're responsible for a number of them. But one of the biggest ones where Erin Brockovich, who has been an advocate in the legal front, has a great interview shedding some light of what some of these larger institutions do before these bankruptcies hearings that may take place. So, and then something I found out that was really interesting is that the firefighters there in Lahaina had thought they had contained the initial brush fire left on a lunch break, seeing how they had doused, I think, 23,000 gallons of water on the initial fire that started in Lahaina in the morning, went to take a lunch break, and it was during that time, during the lunch break, which the flare-up occurred, and they were called back to the scene. Winds had picked up, got out of control quickly. So it looks like, I don't know if it was, it looks like the firefighters stepped away for a while, and that few minutes was what gave that fire. It's an opportunity to just fuel all the land around it and then the homes. So in some of these lawsuits that are happening, Kamehameha Schools, which is worth $15 billion, it may be one of the first cases where they're trying to push forward that their mismanagement of the land around Lahaina was dangerous as compared to storing ammunition or dynamite. So a lot of fuel around the area. Kamehameha is probably the only institution here that has any sort of funding to support some of these things. So, and then there's also a video below about from Ellie, who's a state representative from Maui, and she's been questioning a lot of things from the get-go. And she clearly is questioning the number of people who are not accounted for. So if you want to learn more about those opinions and what she thinks, check out Aloha, that video below. And let's see, Hawaii, they're trying to promote a more respectful visiting to Europeans, and they want them to spend more. So I'm just reporting on what their campaign is doing. So don't get angry at me. And interesting along the lines of Mr. John Pelletier, the further you look into some of his background, it seems like there's more and more questions about, gosh, it seems like everything. But Christina talked about it on her channel, about the toxic environment, about a lot of the issues that were going on as soon as he was hired, people who left the force before their retirement was up. But I did find an interesting video or article about a lawsuit that is currently in the works about the MPD recruit who nearly died and was a target of a hazing ritual. Now, not directly tied to John Pelletier, although while he was, I believe, the chief, but it shows another element of sort of a toxic environment that has been existing at the Maui Police Department that maybe should really be looked into if we're going to clarify or have the island safe for the people who live there, as well as inviting visitors to come. So, and coming out today too is from Blosser Inner Wellness. She had 20 minutes which she spent talking with BJ Penn about a whole range of subjects and issues, right? If you don't know who BJ Penn is, he's from Hilo. He's a UFC fighter. He ran for governor. He's been very vocal about what's going on. He was on Joe Rogan, and it was great to see him on a podcast expressing himself. So if you want to check out that interview, check it out below. And right, Christina is still working on editing content from her trip. She's been taking her time. She's got a lot more content. So I do have a link to her channel, as well as Starkey Farmstead. She gave me a big shout out. It seems like her passion and her investigative reporting continues heartfelt. She's still producing a lot of content around this subject matter. It seems like it's resonating with a core in her soul. So be sure to check. A lot of what she seems to be focusing now is on, some of these elements of the government. So something that I think we all need to pay attention to. And something a little off topic for anybody who's interested. I have a video down there about from Professor Somboron Isaac with this young YouTuber. He's 11. He's getting his he already has his graduate degree, but this kid is 11 and is just what a wonderful voice of the future. He's considered the god of math and really is on the forefront of a lot of mathematics, but real sensitive soul there, real insightful, and something real positive to look forward is how some of these bright kids really have so much to say, and I think we have so much to learn from them and their sensitivity. I think Samantha was talking about doing a challenge of YouTubers over 20,000 getting to going to Maui to support, and I think it's a good idea. I think something that I've realized, and some of the people that I've found very beneficial, at least in making me feel good on YouTube, is there's a lot of people who are not out there just to make people feel bad. There's actually a lot of people out there on YouTube, I think, who love to entertain, make people laugh, and actually share some of their generosity or wealth with other people. So I do have some hope for what content creators can do, and that we can shed light and maybe be the voice, or maybe help showcase some of the challenges and problems and things that are going on in Maui, and be part of that rebuilding process. For me, being able to fundraise on YouTube, it just as soon as it happened, I wanted to go out and run into Maui and help into the chaos. I took my time. I talked to my parents. I tried to make sure that resources were available, and find out when I went there how I could help locally, specifically in my community. But you can tell people are people need help there. People are crying out for help, and I think we have to do our best just to listen to these voices. So, but on that note, I'd like to listen to some of your voices and hear what some of you guys have to say, as this discussion is about you guys as much as it is for me. Always great to hear where people are coming from, as well as what people feel about what's going on in Maui, as well as any ties or stories to the island. Right from the Big Island. A bit about Oprah. Be positive. Yeah, boy, isn't that a theme that we all have an active role in being a part of. Yeah, I'm glad. I've been a YouTuber since 2008. I didn't know that I would take on this role in YouTube, but yes. But it's interesting how, yeah, I don't know how long media, or what we call mainstream media, although I still cite it with some of the articles below, but how sometimes investigative reporting has really just fallen out of the lot of the mainstream media. Oh, I'm glad to. I hope you don't mind me linking your story. So that's part of things that I've been doing on these live streams, is just content that I found interesting, that I think is important to the larger audience, to create a little sort of news feed here, as well as a space for people to talk. Yeah. I guess you got to see that video. Yeah, yesterday we went out to South Point, to Punaluu, where we have a black sand beach and a bakery and some great places to eat, and just open area. Yeah, I'm pretty concerned, Claire, about those mortgages. Oh yeah, I didn't talk about that, but O'Keefe Media, I added their link. I've been adding their link all the time. I will do. So I'm glad you loved it. Okay, I'll take off the sunglasses. I need to get my other glasses, or at least something. It's so bright out here, but I will. Ronnie, Jonah, your son's going to Maui in October. Great. Will he be sharing some of the stories, or was it just be for pleasure, or maybe also learning about what's happening? Bucket, you grew up in, I guess you're saying Kihei. So yeah, I grew up in Kula, but I'd spent a lot of time. I was an athlete. I paddled canoe, as well as ran cross country and track, and spent time all over the islands. Yeah, what did some of you guys learn about what happened, and how did it affect you when you first saw or heard what was happening in Lahaina or Maui? Fires were spreading all over the island. It seemed like the end of times, almost. Ireland, up late. Yeah, I grew up there, but after high school, I went to Massachusetts, and then transferred to University of Oregon. Went to Temple Law School for a short time before I went down to Knoxville, Tennessee, and then Flagstaff, Arizona, where I met Christina. And after trying to pursue my running career there in Flagstaff for a number of years. One day I just asked Christina if she wanted to move back to Hawaii, so we moved back to Maui, where we spent 15 years living in upcountry Kula, right above the Holy Ghost Church, where I started my career as an artist. But in 2019, we moved out here to the Big Island. But my parents still live in Kula. My sister lived in Wailuka and just moved out here. But it's amazing how many people growing up on the islands are affected by this. So it's so sad. Kid lives in Kula. Is a wonderful place, but boy, has it been so dry this past summer. Change the water right situation in Maui. That has been just such an ongoing battle for so long. The water right issues, water right, property rights directly tied together, and there's just been a shortage of water in upcountry. People have been waiting for water meters from the late 90s. So. I'm not an outlaw biker. Yeah, and I don't know. I'm not gonna say all cops are bad, but boy, there definitely are some rotten ones. And unfortunately, I was trying to figure out how many police officers or chief of police have had to resign in Hawaii. They don't have that statistics or information, but it's been a few, so. Super wet for Alaska. Although you guys have had your hands filled with fires over the summer, as these fire seasons seem to extend higher up and across the whole northern region. A lunatic ride too. Yeah, here in the Big Island, right, what most police cars are unmarked, and most of them are forerunners, but here where we live in Volcano, there's the national park, but police service here is probably 10-15 minutes at best, or ambulance. We're in a very rural area where most people, or almost everybody, lives off grid. Everybody catches their own water. We've been living off grid for the last 3 years. So, and there's other parts of the Big Island, like Ocean View or parts of Puna. There, people live in some very, very rugged rural areas. People have homes on what almost appears to be like fresh lava fields out here. Yet some of these areas are right next to some of the luscious rainforest you'll ever find. Basketball fan, where are you from? We've been here a couple times on the station chatting. So what part of the world brings you here to this conversation? Yeah, Oregon was beautiful. I actually was my junior year. I was dorming right across from Hayward Field, and I was on a developmental team there trying to make the University of Oregon cross country and track team. But boy, I just loved Eugene. I was ready to go, but all the trails there, wood chip trails, the summers, that campus, and then going to the Prefontaine Classic was just one of the highlights. And then I got to go back a couple years as media to cover the Pre-Classic, and what a magical place, although not surrounded with its own controversy, the Alberto Salazar and the likes, and his downfall. So but I hope you guys enjoy some of the links that I've provided below. Hopefully it finds some news stories, as it looks like there is going to, I'm not quite sure. There is also a link to what Mayor Bissen had, and he hasn't had a press conference for 3 weeks, which I almost forgot it had been that long. But Mayor Bissen had a one-on-one. There's a link to a video below. He needs to come and take some shots from the press and the public. I think it's An Iron Man. No, thank you. But he does have an interview. Pretty. Oh, I don't know if there's too many things that people like John Pelletier or Bissen could say to make me feel too happy, or Josh Green. But you know, I don't know. Aloha. He sold out to the people. Yeah, I think that's one of the scary things to realize about some of this issue that's going on, that the level of incompetence and lack of transparency and data and governance is doesn't, I think, help secure anybody's feeling in public safety or well-being, and then brings up so many questions about corruption. So a lot of fishy things going on, Yeah, it's one of those things, once you see, it's kind of hard not to see. Wow, 20 years. Yeah, some of the scenes from these wildfires, fires, whatever you want to call them, it's just like, I don't know, straight out of the apocalypse, just really hard to imagine being in those situations and not just praying to whatever it is you believe in to not be there. So really, I hope that something I thought about the other day that I was reflecting on is, it's weird to think of places like Hawaii or Maui as there's the community, there's the people of Maui, and they have risen to the top in this crisis and this chaos. And then there's the government of Hawaii, and there's the government of Maui. And while I'm sure there are many individuals who ran into fire and did their best, there is a leadership crisis issue here that is really separating, I think, the community from those who are supposed to protect and serve. And I think if it's just about voting, that's a long time to wait for some of these corrections that I think are pretty crucial right now. Oh, great to have you. Yes. Yeah, I agree with that. It's like, how deep is this problem in government? Is it completely embedded structurally from the top down? Yeah, young leadership with education and who people who have compassion. My grandfather on my mom's side was he was a tax director, 1978 to I think 84, and he really seemed like a public servant. He loved taxes, and he loved helping people, and he loved helping his neighbors, and he did it for free, and he helped the church, and he helped anybody he could. And and he was a tax director, right? Somebody people don't really like, and he always told his workers, we have a hard job here. We're taking money from people, and we're not giving anything them. We have to make sure we approach them with compassion. And I'm writing a book about my grandparents and some of the lessons I've learned from them, and how they both lived through Pearl Harbor. The unity that existed in Hawaii between government and the community seemed so strong. Not perfect by any means. Japanese were put into internment camps, and I'm sure many people were falsely accused, but people from his account worked tirelessly helping each other. Nobody really questioned anything. But that's a long time ago. And you know out of this chaos is, I guess, we see where the strength in unity is, and where the strength in community is, and where the strength is in the spirit of Aloha, as well as the people of Maui. Ah, yes, Kalapana Pele. Yeah, the county here, they, you know, do quite a bit here when we are dealing with eruptions and lavas. I've moved here after Leilani, but I've paid much attention to what the county and civil defense has had to deal with here on the Big Island, being an island over from the one I grew up in, and I got here in part because my parents met on the Big Island, and the house they built in 1978 was the house I grew up in, Kula. Yeah, my parents didn't have the same problem as I think what happened in Lahaina. They did have an evacuation notice. They did have police coming to their doors, but it also seems that it was some of their neighbors who stayed in their neighborhood, specifically one above them, Mike, who stayed in the smoke until almost midnight, fighting to help protect the homes in their community. And I think if some of those people hadn't stayed, my parents, their neighborhood, there was a fire above them and below them, and there was burnt pieces of ashes in their gutters. There was just, and that was when I got there, which was a couple weeks after it had happened. So, there was over 22 plus homes lost around where I grew up, the neighborhood I live. And as you check out on Christina's channel, a high school friend and his mom, they have a 40-acre farm and really lost just about everything there. So deeply affecting a wide range of people, and that's just on the upcountry side. On the other side of the island than Lahaina, which was completely, the lower part of it. It's just no matter how much you look at some of the images or drone images, nothing I can imagine. It's just such a beautiful spot that is now a memory. So. Yeah, it seems like there's a number of battles going on throughout the globe. This very new, Maui has had a fire season ever since they stopped the sugarcane industry, and it seems to get worse and worse. Alberta, Laura, I'm glad you like that. Yeah, I think maybe that is an issue, is that some of these disasters, how often do you familiarize yourself with the Hawaii Constitution or the US Constitution, or these rights that are so important that when it comes down to it, we're all responsible, I think, for understanding what rights are given to us and what rights we have. We can all go and hire an attorney. Many of us can't because it costs way too much money. But we do have a very basic responsibility for ourselves, I think, to understand at least, some of these things that, these people swear an oath to when they take office. Yeah, it'll be interesting, Lahaina, right there, the banyan has some green shoots, but they're talking about restoring ulu trees, breadfruit trees, and breadfruit trees historically were made that Lahaina a nice shaded area. So I've seen it many times, right? The best time, it's from Eliud Kipchoge, to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is right now. So as soon as they can, I hope that they can get some native trees into the ground there. Above where my parents live, they have started restoration projects. Been very fortunate that there's a group of individuals there that have been working on bringing back native species to gulches. Danny Bourne, one of my classmates who has the zip line there, works with a number of my classmates from Seabury who are working on a plan to deal with the gulch right next to my parents with private landowners, so that there's less erosion, more fire resilient. But it looks like, you know, as bad as things look, there are people trying to solve these problems. And, you know, kudos to anybody who's getting their hands dirty and trying to solve a problem. You know, keeping people accountable, of course, is crucial. But people picking up a shovel, you know, and actually getting some work done is just as important too. Yeah, you know, I hope to get back to Kula sometime soon. I'd love to go do some stuff at the Humane Society as well as the Maui Food Bank, seeing how that's where I'm getting a lot of fundraising going to. And I definitely want to share with people what the restoration projects look like, because maybe it's something that can be accelerated or used in other areas in the islands as a productive model of bringing back native plants. Yeah. You know, if you've ever been to upcountry Maui or Kula, you know, it's all pasture land. The area has been pretty much decimated over the years. There's hardly anything native left there. So, but there has been a constant effort by, you know, a generation around my age to restore native plants, the yellow hibiscus, koa trees. You know, here on the Big Island, or as you can see the trees behind me in the car, those are ohia trees. We have a lot of native plants and forests still here. You know, it's really a gorgeous place. But, you know, I thank all you guys who checked out that Punaluu. I hope you enjoy some of the content that I'm providing that isn't just about Maui, but showcasing, you know, a lot of the beauties that is here. When I started on YouTube in 2008, I probably started with a cat video, but I had a good friend and he told me, you know what, you don't have to do anything to make Maui look good. Maui looks good, you just film it. So I spent from 2008 a lot of time. I lost a couple drones in the water, you know, but I droned at Jaws. I filmed wildfires. I went hunting for deer, running in the mountains, camping, everything. Favorite donuts, everything. So that's great that you know, people are, you know, it is amazing. My brother-in-law is an architect. He's doing pro bono work. The stories that I hear over and over of people, I don't know how they can do it forever, but people who are just giving their time and not charging people. You know, there are other stories I've heard of people just taking their money and you know, not being very compassionate. But it seems like there's a sense of, like, right, they call in Hawaii hui, you know, of like working together, working, you know, kind of for working in unity. And it seems that so many people are just giving their time up in so many different ways to help people rebuild in any way possible. So it makes me really proud to know that it's the island that I'm from. That's the island I have roots to. It's an island that I'm proud to have such a long history with, and being from Hawaii, it makes me proud. You know, I wish I could say the same for our government, but you got to be proud for the things that are, you can be, you know. Yeah, you know, Mick, that's true. One of the things my girlfriend and I has been trying to do and move in that direction is just living off the grid in every way possible, you know. And it's an ambitious goal, but having our own water, our own electricity, and I'm building a station to charge our car, you know. So it's like, got to get more chickens, fruit trees galore. The one thing that I can be very happy for, if everybody wants to come and visit me up here, is we have an abundance of basil for pesto. We eat pesto. We eat a macadamia nut pesto probably 2 or 3 times a week with fresh basil. They almost becoming trees. So it's like living up here, we can literally put a stick in the ground and things grow. So we're very fortunate to have a whole bunch of things. We also have to live with the pua'a, or the pig. So we haven't killed or hunted any yet, but that's a great source of meat here. In Kula, we bow hunted with our friend Marlin, and Marlin was he is a firefighter, but he was a we'd spend hours just being quiet in the forest hunting for access deer, and just lived off the land as much as possible. And I think the people of Hawaii have shown that that is something that can be done. I think BJ Penn was saying, the best kind of money is it's like a fruit, the money that you can eat, and it's like planting fruit trees, planting everything, around. The first thing we did when we had property was just plant things. So anybody else that out there live off grid or lived off the grid, or, we lived in an RV for a while off grid before we built our home. But, I lived out in the woods for a while in Flagstaff when my friend and I, we didn't have anything. We didn't have much. So, been in those spots where we've had nothing. Getting hungry now. Oh, I know right now we have dragon fruit season, and out in, Punaluu, there's a gas station store there that sells giant dragon fruit. One of my favorite fruits. That sounds great, Laura. Do it. Mick, hunt with a crossbow. I've been wanting to get a crossbow. Actually, I really wanted to get a traditional bow, and it's like a Turkish bow or something. You live out in the woods long enough, all of a sudden you think you're Avatar. Oh, tiny home. Yeah, our home's pretty small. I think it's 2 rooms, outdoor shower, maybe including the porch, 620 square feet. Mother of dragons, the dragon fruit. Oh yeah, I didn't even know what they were growing up my whole life. Well, thank you, Mick. On Maui, when it was dragon fruit season, which is right around now, I would literally just drive around like Paia and Baldwin, and there's dragon fruits growing like everywhere. You just drive off into the sugarcane field and pick these bright pink fruit, and it's like, I don't know, they're free, and I'd have a little backpack with them. I don't know, I felt like a kid, and I felt like so lucky to live on an island where you can just go to the side of the road and pick fresh fruit. Yeah, Punaluu rocks. Hanaho restaurant out there is just, I love going to Punaluu. It's a black sand beach. There's sea turtles there. It is yet there's a building there, a restaurant that was taken out by a tsunami. There's rich history there. One of the smallest churches, very isolated, very, very just open land, and just breathtaking views of the ocean. Fruit everywhere. When I first moved back to Maui, I told my girlfriend Christina, we gotta go get guavas. Guavas are free. And we went to the pastures and picked buckets and buckets of guavas. And I made, I don't know, gallons of guava jam, until I was just sick of it. And then the other thing we'd do is, me and my friend, my old buddy, we used to go just drive around Lahaina and ask people if we could pick their mangoes. And it's like, we would load up just bucket loads of different types of mangoes, people who had just 2 mangoes ripening on their tree, and we'd freeze them. We'd do mango bread, mango smoothies, mango, nothing but mango. Oh, I dry it, just loved it, Yeah, they're powerful spots for sure. When you look at the view they have, it's just being in touch with nature, everything about it. In Kula, we had an avocado tree there, and what else? We had prickly pear. We would pick prickly pears, and we had one avocado tree that produced, it seemed like infinite. We would go with a duffel bag and a backpack, and then we'd sell them for $1 a piece, all our excess. But we would make guacamole, fried, avocado fries, just all for free, Yeah, really bountiful. So we had a white peach tree where we lived in Kula. There's a macadamia nut tree. We could go pick our own macadamia nuts. And you just learn to be sensitive of the season. When it's avocado season, it's avocado season. When it's mango season, it's just mango season. Yeah, banana and lilikoi. I think we have about 5 different types of banana trees in our property. There's many different types of banana trees. Apple banana, ice cream banana, but and lilikoi, all sorts of lilikoi. Egypt, isn't that interesting, Yeah, the dragon fruit. Oh, I got to go to Kenya in 2019, and I was shocked to see in the Rift Valley how many things were similar to Hawaii. I mean, the wattle tree, the jacaranda tree, and papayas. They had pineapples. It was like avocado trees, mangoes. It was really odd to see so many similarities across the globe. They had lots of cabbage. Kula grows a bunch of cabbage. I guess the biggest thing was how cheap it was there. Kingdom Within, what do you make about the missing children? That's been an ongoing dialogue. The DOE, I know, is still concerned with a handful of children that haven't been reported to. The numbers that have been given out by John Pelletier and the FBI, I don't even know what to make sense of them. I have not heard a lot of parents who are saying, or there's not hundreds of parents who are asking about their missing children that I know of. So I'm not really sure that there's there's still people who are not accounted for. One of the videos I have with Ellie, she voices some major concerns with the numbers being given. So I think there's rightfully so some questions with transparency and the total numbers, but I think some of that initial concern has been alleviated. No transparency about anything. I know. It's like if they could take a course on just maybe communications and how important it is to build trust through providing consistent communications through whatever means possible, I think it would have done, as bad as the news was, it would have done so much more to, I think, maintain trust that is now completely eroded. Yes, and no, I'm sure there's a lot of people that is their main concern. With me, my concern is all of Maui and the trauma that many people are experiencing, as well as the importance of making sure that people understand that the troubles continue, as well as there's mounting attention and pressure from people of Lahaina, and I guess with the reopening of West Lahaina, that seems like a very sort of, there's a lot of friction there, and people need to talk, I think, and most importantly, I think Josh Green and Bissen really just need to spend more and more time with the people of Lahaina. I hope that's in their plans, because their voices need to be heard over, I think, anybody's. Bojo, general feeling. He's not, my sense of it is he's not too loved by too many people on either side of it. Getting him out of office would be extremely difficult, but I think I'm not sure how the Senate and the House, they feel in Hawaii about him. I think that would matter a lot. I don't know. I don't think we can have a recall here of any sort that I've looked into. But the general feeling that I get is he's not a very popular person. Same with Bissen, not Yeah, and you know what? Josh Green was just at the UN. You know, uh, and we are sending so much to Ukraine. Yeah, you know, it's where are our priorities? You know, I think I think BJ Penn talked about it. You know, there's lots of money in defense contracting and the ugly side of war. You know, yet you know the madness of war and you know Putin and these people. It's like, but you know. If you can't take care of your own house, if you can't keep your house clean, it's hard to like go deal with other people's business for sure. And you need to show compassion to the people that who elect you, whether you're elected by them or not. So it's very you know, growing up in Maui my whole life, you know, as a kid in the 80s, seeing the growth of Maui from the 80s to the 90s till I left in like 96. That period between my dad left Kapalua, got a job at the Maui Prince in McKenna as a pastry chef there, and I really got to see a lot of Wailea and Kaanapali just really have an accelerated growth as Maui tourism, you know, agricultural industry, sugar plantation, pineapple was clearly in the rear view mirror. So, you know, I got to see the Grand Wailea, the Four Seasons, you know, if anybody's familiar with the beach at Wailea, I've got some great photos of me and my sister. I think I'm probably naked eating a saltine cracker in front of that beach, and those hotels didn't exist at all. So, you know, the Maui Prince didn't exist. A lot of that infrastructure didn't exist. So, you know, growing up as a teenager, it was really clear how quickly the island was growing in the direction of tourism. And one of the most obvious things in recent time while we were living there, we moved back in 2005, was that they spent $300 million on the rental car place at the airport, which has this trolley that takes tourists, I don't know, 400 feet or something. It's really nice, I guess. But living on Maui, you know, there's potholes everywhere. I'd use the track, you know, the War Memorial track. It was clear that they weren't putting money back into some of these infrastructure projects that were decaying. Yet you go to Wailea, you know, it's just lush golf courses, and the money is flowing there. So the money's just been flowing sort of in that one direction towards tourism. And now, you know, the pandemic showed how vulnerable, especially Maui was and Hawaii. And now again, we're seeing that vulnerability again surface as the Lahaina being destroyed, and the messaging, as well as the inept government. It's a hard tourism point to sell, is what I'm saying. You know, yeah, 700 per family. You know, anyone who's been to Hawaii on vacation or lives here, you know, unless you don't have your own farm, it is very expensive here, and $700 doesn't go very far. Are people talking about direct energy weapon systems? You know, I've heard a few people mention some of these anomalies. I know Eric West has mentioned it. You know, I'm clearly aware of Lockheed Martin Skunk Works and the type of things that they've developed, and you know, right, these weapons have existed since what, Nikola Tesla, but I'm not really sure. More people are concerned with having to pay their mortgage, having lost people, lost homes, and I think probably the trauma is the number one concern. You know, that was the number one concern with my family, was making sure that my parents felt emotionally stable, and that my job was to listen to them when I went there. Yeah, Eric West was kind of inspired me to do a little bit of what I've done, because when the fires first broke out, I was trying to follow them and inform my parents as much as possible. I used to do research and assistant as a job, and so I would every day I would spend time looking up YouTube videos of like what was uploaded that day in the last hour, and he kept on coming up, as well as a few other people who were really taking it to heart to take on this role as an investigative reporter, an individual reporter, especially so close to the disaster zone. And I watched, I think from day one, some of his videos, and what he was giving away Starlinks, and then he started talking to people and doing a lot to help individuals and to share their story. And I thought that was the best way to maybe to help anybody. But when I went to Maui, it's clear that for many different reasons, not everybody wants to tell their story. Some people are afraid. Some people aren't ready. Some people don't want to make all this public. Just for me doing this, I get nervous every day before I do this. It's like it's an emotional roller coaster. Our home insurance companies coming through. There's there's an article I have below about some of the concerns with mortgages and what it's a 90-day moratorium, but it seems like homeowners are in big trouble going forward with these high interest rates and not being able to be rebuild for years, if not even longer. Yeah, and trauma, it's a word that, it seems like many parts of the world, our globe is going through in different ways. Thank you, Joe Bo. And I think I can't speak for them, but I hope they would agree that it's you guys who make us want to do this and continue doing this. Most of the feedback has been positive. I as expected, having a YouTube channel since 2008. I've always had, the negativity there and trolls on certain subjects, and it comes with this. But the positivity and I think the people's want for information has maybe helped us become part of this discussion and have this role in it. And but it's all of us, right? There's no audience. I'm not here. Maybe I'd still be doing videos, but obviously this stuff is important to you guys, and sharing the links that I have below. And for me, fundraising, I feel better if I'm doing something than nothing, and if it's information and fundraising, then I feel at least I'm doing my small part. Yeah, it is hard. It is hard, but it's relative. My parents were very fortunate. Our family is very close. We know a number of people who were displaced. My sister knows a number of people who are no longer with us. And that list, it's really sad, but it's amazing when the nasty face of whatever you want to call it, these fires show up at your neighborhood, show up where you grew up, show up at your parents' door, and the flames are spreading around them. It's a wake-up call for sure for what's important, and making sure you spend time and listen to those you care about. I've been close. There's times I didn't talk to my parents for a long time because I was so embarrassed. I didn't have a job. I was bagging groceries at Safeway. I was on food benefits, and I was embarrassed. I dropped out of law school, but now I'm a little more mature, and I'm been talking to my parents quite a bit about the same things that I'm talking to you guys about, and they are just sharing me stories with their friends and families, and people who are helping out in any way they can. Yeah, the aluminum and the melted glass. One thing I think some people have described, that fire had its own life. It was a horizontal fire in a compact, dense area with a lot of dangerous fuel sources. But those winds on that day, even here on the Big Island, were in the dry conditions. Fires all over the island, not just Maui. We had a fire here in Kahala Ranch. So, but very disheartening when you see, the photos and being familiar with Maui, how Olinda, Kihei, Kula, Lahaina, those are all fires that were going on. And, people thought, Kihei was under evacuation. People didn't know what was going on. The mayor didn't seem like, he still has not said, it's still not clear who is in charge of the emergency operational command. There's still so many questions. So we might have to wait till we see some of these people on trial for some of this stuff, which is unfortunate. But I think if some of us can do our part in looking into things and spending time researching stuff, we can shed more light on these issues and these individuals. I really urge anyone who wants to look into some of the history of John Pelletier. I've been spending time looking into his history. I had no idea that he had been involved with 3 shootings, and he was involved with actually killing an individual that was claimed to be justified. But his past in Vegas, I don't know that much about, other than he was incident commander. There are some complaints and allegations about his hiring, that he was given information about questions to the hiring process that I've been looking into. But the man has a pretty mysterious dark path that seems to be either following him or that he's involved with. But I urge some of you that are interested or want to do your own investigative journalism, see what you can find out about this guy John Pelletier. It's I really think they need to replace him as soon as possible in this situation for everybody's well-being. Everybody's well-being. So, but what a world it is where these issues bring us all together from all parts of the world. Yeah, Melissa. Yeah, I have a link to James, and also the lawsuit that he filed, which I believe someone had told me. I don't know for a fact. Eric West has the same attorney, challenging some of those First Amendment, 14th, I think Fourth Amendment issues that Josh Green's emergency proclamation, is right. Due process, it's not clear actually, the wording. I've looked at it. It doesn't say anything about not filming things on the side of the highway, so no due process. Restricting First Amendment rights, a whole bunch of issues. Very happy to see him here. I don't know why local reporters didn't jump on that before that, but I'm glad a suit was filed on Josh Green and the Maui County Police, because we need light on those issues, and we need light on what was happening the day. There's still so many unanswered questions from the county and from the state emergency management, that it's like, they're gonna go screaming and crying. Go Ducks. Yeah, Ducks. They was a murder against Hawaii, but playing Colorado coming up. So, but yeah, I for anyone who's interested, I graduated from University of Oregon in philosophy and political science. I studied corruption, and I studied Eastern philosophy and existentialism, and then I spent a little less than a year at law school at Temple Law School before I went on to pursue my dream as a distance runner, which, if you ever want a job where you don't make much money and have to work really, really, really hard, try being a marathoner. It doesn't pay much per hour, but wonderful experience meeting some of the most impassioned people I've ever met, living out their dreams. Then I moved back to Maui and got into becoming an artist, a skill that I had always developed and had close to me, and was inspired by all the beauty of Maui, the flowers, the landscapes, the people, and probably did about 400 plus paintings while living on Maui. Yeah, Hawaii, it has a rich history in athletics in many ways, right? Hawaii is probably one of the very few places that we get our own flag for surfing competitions. Hawaii is considered its own like state when it comes, our own nation when it comes to surfing, and the number of football players, surfers, right, Michelle Weeb, we've got a bunch of great athletes and individuals for hundreds of years coming. Duke Hanamoku, he was an Olympian, so. Yeah, that secretary Joe, boy, that someone needs a big flow chart for all of that for sure. Ducks, yes. It's always good to know there's Ducks fans and haters, of course, but there's Duck fans everywhere. So I'm a big, I'm so proud to be a Duck. I got to run on the track. I got to be on a developmental team. Just wonderful experience there. Philosophy was just, their department in philosophy was really, and political science was pushing me out of my comfort zones, and had some of the best professors. And before that I was at Bentley at a business school outside Waltham, Massachusetts, where I ran Division II cross country and track and learned a little foundation of business and math. So, but anybody out there want to share some of their stories of Maui, of Lahaina, of upcountry, of Kula? Love to hear them. Right, the conversation is for you guys as much as it is for me. And give me a thumbs up if you like this stuff and want to see me continue doing this work, as well as sharing some other videos of life here in Hawaii and all the beauty that we have in our culture and landscape, people, the good and maybe some of the bad. But I love to share mostly the good. And anybody who's interested, if you want to see Maui in a personal way, check out some of my videos. I have probably 1,000 videos of my time there on Maui with Christina, doing just about everything on that island, every little corner. Just really had a deep passion for everything on that island. Yeah, the turtles here, the sea turtles, they're, some people it's their guardian spirit, their Amakua, but they're definitely, we hold them very special here. Yeah, boy, these conditions, I still have dreams. I had dreams before the fire of some of these things, and I'm not sure if it's just because I've been watching the news my whole life, but I've also had dreams afterwards that it's like I'm still on Maui. I'm at my parents' house and I'm like putting out fires, and it's like, and there's no water pressure, and it's like, the having gone there, having covered this, it's deep in my psyche that I'm dealing with it. So but that's the world we live in. That's why I try to make time to spend time running out here in the Big Island, and appreciate time with everybody. So yeah, the banyan, yeah, the smart cities. Pay attention to your dreams for sure. I'm a big believer in manifestation, and for the most part I am a big believer of that you do have kind of some control even in your dreams, but of course the subjects that come up in them and making sense of them, they're always a surprise for sure. But I definitely I've been listening to my dreams for a while, and yeah, 10 years. Possibly. But all right, you guys, unless you guys have any questions or want to say anything else, it's always great to spend some time with you. It's nerve-wracking as it is, but it's great. I hope some of the information, the links, and get some more information about what's going on, and hopefully you guys can make your own sense of what's going on. And whether you're going to go down a rabbit hole or not, you get to decide. Being informed, educated, hearing different people's stories, hearing people's stories that you don't agree with, being open-minded, being accepting, and making sure that you're grounded, you know. Yeah, well, thank you guys, and great having you. I'm here from the Big Island, and I sure hope to get Christina out here in a live stream soon. I know she's got lots to share and lots to say as she's still sort of decompressing and dealing with, you know, the many stories that she got to hear just in the short span while she was there. So yes, I'll relax. It's Hawaii, you know. It's the world of relaxation, you know. Spend time with my cat, and also I've been doing more logo and t-shirt designs. So I've been trying to do the Aloha Kitty series on Aloha threads. I've been sharing that in the products of just something that's a good release for me in creating some of this digital art, as well as making it available for people to wear. You know, I've designed stuff my whole life and made, I don't know, many of t-shirts. So yeah, appreciate all you guys. So I'm going to be taking off. Aloha, take care, love each other, and make sure you take time to laugh and spread the aloha. So listen to the people of Lahaina. They need your love. They need your prayers. They need your money. They need everything you can send them. So if you don't have anything, send your thoughts. And if you can do anything, just pay attention to the story so that you're aware what's going on. And if you can tell other people about what's going on, or, you know, write your senator, tell somebody, make sure people know that this is important, that we do not forget about the so many people affected by this. So aloha, James.